Hello, good morning. So this morning I thought I would do a small video on anxiety. So my last two videos, one was on self-care and the other was on self-esteem and self-worth. And these things all relate to each other. So if I talk about our body, being a human, we have a central nervous system and there's different parts and functions to the nervous system. And they're all important and all have their own role to play and job to do. So we have the autonomic nervous system, and that job is to keep us safe. So if we look at the sympathetic nervous system, that's our fight and flight response. So that developed to keep us safe. So that means that if our nervous system perceives some sort of danger, it will gear us up to either run away or fight or freeze. So sometimes in a situation, our body has decided for it to keep itself safe, it needs to freeze. So that's what happens, it freezes and we can't do anything. Another response could be, right, that's it, I'm going to fight. So it gets really sort of geared up and it goes into fight. And the other one is, I'm going to run away. So it runs away. You don't really have a choice. It's instinctive. It just happens. The other part is, if I go back to the sympathetic. So what's happening is our blood vessels contract, and the reason it does that is, say for example, we have a wound or we're bleeding, that blood moves away and goes to our heart. So it's pumping blood and nutrients to our muscle if we're going to run away, and it shuts off different functions. So it shuts off our digestive system, because there's more important things to do. The body just goes into survival mode. Our eyes become dilated because we need to take in more light so we can see what we're doing. So the body, there's functions that are happening, there's things that are happening within that body to the heart and the blood vessels, the eyes, which is pretty amazing. If we go to the parasympathetic, that part is when we feel safe, that we're eating our dinner, it's resting, we're digesting, we're able to have connections, we're able to feel peace, we're able to experience love and happiness. So part of survival is, yes, we need food, we need to feed ourselves, we need to do other things, but our body is programmed and geared to keep us alive. So it's natural to feel anxiety. But what happens is, if we have too much of stress, so stress from work, or stress because a person's been bullied or they're in abusive situations, the body finds it hard to trigger the relaxation response. So it stays in this state of stress. And that's where it's estimated about 80% of ill health and mental health issues are related to stress. And that makes total sense. So when we're stressed and we're not able to regulate ourselves or shift into that parasympathetic nervous system part, it means that our body's producing a lot of adrenaline and cortisol. So that's going to affect how we sleep, it's going to affect our basic things like connection, it's going to affect our sex drive, it's going to affect how we eat. We're either going to not eat enough or eat too much. Especially if you think about it, when we're stressed or your body perceives itself to be stressed, that's seen it as a danger, that it's having to run away for its life. But if you're sitting behind a desk or you're in, studying at school or working away, but you're getting this stress because there's pressure and you're not able to move or run away and use that energy, then the body you know, it's sedentary. It's not. It's just getting stuck with this all this hormone inside itself. It's not able to move. And that's what we actually need to do when we get stressed. We need to find a way to shake it off or get it out of our system. But a lot of the time we can't. So it's the body doesn't understand stress and threat from work compared to danger from an animal. It's the same response. So too much of that, for whatever reason, really affects our nervous system, and it becomes unbalanced, and that's when too much of a stress does lead to health conditions. So that's really detrimental to our well-being. So in my last video I did talk about the self-care and why that is important. So looking at today, when we're working with our nervous system, we can find ways to regulate ourselves. We can find ways to shift ourselves from that sympathetic state to the parasympathetic state. Ways that we can do this is like what I'm doing now, sound healing, Tibetan bowls. If you don't have Tibetan bowls, you can listen to things on the internet, breathe in. So if we're able to, say if we're feeling anxious and we're just feeling a little bit jittery, if we're able to take in a nice slow breath and exhale it longer than our inhale. So just concentrating on that breathing. In and out. That will help to calm our nervous system down. Other ways that we can do, other ways that we can other things we could use, I should say, to ground ourselves. You might hear it as a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's up to you how you do it. There's many ways to do it. But it could be, if I feel very anxious or scared, I might tell myself, okay, it's okay, you're safe. You're not in danger, you're fine, you're safe. And then I might just look at 5 things and name it. So Tibetan bowl, my leg, the stick, the phone, the flowers. So that's 5 things. 4 things, I might, what can I hear? I can hear that tone, I can hear my voice, I can hear my breathing, and I can hear the rain. 3 things, so it could be 3 things that I smell. I can smell my body cream, I can smell the flowers, and I can smell my shampoo. And 2 things that I can touch. I can touch my leg and I can feel my bum on the couch. And then with the last one, I could either say 1 thing I can taste. So not long ago I had a coffee, so I can taste the coffee. And if you struggle to find something to taste, you could just take a deep breath. So what that exercise is doing is getting you to focus on something else. It's getting you to focus. And other ways to ground yourself is bringing it back to the body. So that could be feeling my feet on the ground and just like being aware of my feet, and then being aware of my ankles, being aware of my knees, my thighs, my bum, my stomach. Make sure I'm breathing, and then being aware of my heart, my throat, my neck, my jaw, my face, my eyes, my head. So I can do that, and that's me focusing on myself internally. And I can check in. So when I got to my feet, I can feel, how do they feel? Is there any sensations, tightness, any soreness? And I could do that to all areas. And I might come to the stomach part and I'll be like, oh, that's a little bit tight there. So I might just spend a moment breathing into that area, just taking a moment to relax into it. And then I might become aware of my heart. And if I have been stressed, I might be like, oh, my heart's a little bit fast. So I would just spend a moment just breathing. Just breathing and almost like relaxing. Just when we're anxious, we'll be really tight. So becoming aware of just like relaxing that and letting go. That's quite a nice way to, to tune into your body and feel what's going on. So that's ways to get into the parasympathetic. Also exercise as well. So if a person does experience a lot of stress, then it's good to move about. So it's like if you've experienced something stressful at work, then if you can, take yourself a walk. Exercise is really good as well, like running or burpees. If you had a moment, if you were in your house, just to get up and do something extraneous for a moment. So they're good ways to release and get rid of the the cortisol and the adrenaline, because you've got this energy and this, this hormones given to us so we can do something to get away. And usually sometimes that's when we can feel hungry. So if you think if we're being stressed, just sitting at a desk, after that a person might feel hungry, but the body, the reason for that is because when you've been given this adrenaline to run away, your body's going to be hungry afterwards, so it needs to replenish what it's lost. But if you don't have to run away from danger and you're eating, it's just adding to the body as well. So that's why stress can put weight on people, not because their eating habits are different, it's because it's needing to store it as well. And usually a person might feel hungry for something sweet, the carbohydrate, because that turns into glucose very fast. So if you are experiencing anxiety in your life, that is normal, and it's okay to experience anxiety, but it's up to us to be able to manage that and regulate our emotions. But if we're, in situations, so say if we've experienced trauma or we're experiencing a lot of stress every single day, that gets too much for the body. And that's why it's important to reach out to someone to make them aware of, what's going on for you, and finding ways to manage it, because stress is, stress can kill. I know that's quite a serious word to use, but too much of it, where your body's just never getting a chance to feel safe and regulate itself and function properly, because it goes into disease. So it's not that bad things happen straight away, it's an accumulation. So if you can find ways to de-stress, like really great things to get in touch with your body and to release stress are things like yoga, exercise, meditation. Meditation is just being mindful of what's happening. So being aware of our breath, being mindful when I tap this bowl, I'm aware, I'm listening to it, and I'm listening to the tone, how it changes, and then eventually erodes out. So that's like meditation. Finding ways to focus your mind. So when we are able to, so say if we experience a lot of stress, we can't focus, we're not able to, because I think it's the prefrontal cortex that just shuts down our thinking brain, where we can't think because our body's just wanting to survive. So we're not able to sit and do a piece of work or read a book or anything like that. So we need to find a way to shift ourselves into, the process, to shift ourselves into a different state. So it could be that feeling really stressed, right, I don't really feel like breathing. So I might just get myself outside and do something, but then I'll try and become aware of my breath. If you can, the breath, that should be the first place to go, just to calm yourself down. But some people find that hard. So if you can't go straight to the breath, maybe get off your seat and go to the toilet, go a walk. If you can, if you were able to go into exercise. If not, it's finding a way that you can just shift yourself out of this state. So if you are very stressed and you're able to work with it through breathing, and then even doing that grounding technique of listening to things, naming the things that you can see and hear, or tuning into your body, just being mindful, doing that body scan. Then it might be, if you're in the comfort of your own home, you can, colouring in is really great. Drawing, because that really focuses the mind. Just being able to colour, it's very soothing. Definitely getting out in nature. Just a walk in amongst the trees, or even the sea air, that's amazing. That's really good for us. Talking to a friend, talking to somebody that we trust. So it's finding ways to, support yourself. And I talk about that in my self-care video. We are making sure that we're drinking enough water or fluids, eating like a balanced diet, finding some sort of exercise, finding some sort of hobby. And on the other video, when I talked about our self-esteem and self-worth, so you can imagine if you're feeling very stressed all the time and going into panic attacks or just not feeling great, then that has a reflection how you view yourself. So that then impacts, of course, your self-esteem and your self-worth. And if you feel that it's very serious and that you need some sort of intervention, that's where you take yourself to the doctor. Some people do need a medication. I prefer the holistic route, but there's a place for everything, but not long term. Maybe some people do need it long term, but actually you can help yourself holistically. So it's just finding the right way that's going to fit you, and getting some help to work things out, like even if that is talking therapy, being able to talk about your thoughts and your feelings and what's going on for you is a great way. Then just even finding ways to cope with anxiety when it shows itself. So it's finding ways oh, here it is, you'll know by the symptoms you have. And then it's right, okay, I'm going to work with it with the breathing, or I'm going to work with it with the grounding techniques, or actually I'm not in that place, I'm going to work with it with exercise, or or yoga, or mindfulness meditation, or reading, or colouring in. It's just finding a way to work with it, and you can work with it. So yeah, that was just a little bit about anxiety. When we're in anxiety for too long, that it's going more into a disorder, and usually what comes hand in hand with anxiety disorder is depression. So it can get complex, and the only way to come out of something is you have to work through it. So if a person has experienced so much distress and stress that the body just can't handle it, it'll shut itself down, it'll become numb, just as a way to protect itself. But the only way to come back is you have to work your way through it. And if you've been shut off to numbness, the body still has to then experience anxiety. And people get scared of that. But just knowing that anxiety is part of life and it's there for a reason, but so are other emotions that we can tap into. And sometimes in life, we do need to detox from things. We need to figure out, well, what is it that's causing me so much stress and distress? You know, is it something that's happened from a long time ago and then it's an accumulation of things? Is it something that's going on at work? Is it something that's going on in the family system? You really need to identify it, and that's where journaling can be a great thing as well. Being able to, you know, reflect back, when did it start? Was there a particular event that happened? Did it happen around a particular time? You know, is there things that make it worse? Is there things that make it better? You know, because you will have coping mechanisms that you've developed, that you've naturally developed. So sometimes it's reflecting on what worked for me and what didn't, and sometimes what did work doesn't work anymore. So we do need to learn more things. And that's what I think, you know, it's like you're here to journey through life, and it's all about, just the same as me, it's having a tool belt and trying to learn ways to help support ourselves as best we can. And even if you know, there's lots of nice holistic therapies that can help, you know, when we're tight and stressed, for massage as well. That can be really nice, going for a massage or having somebody that can massage you, or reflexology, acupuncture, sound healing. Another good way, I forgot to mention this, when we want to regulate our emotions or nervous system, is humming. So there's something very powerful about the tone of our voice and the vibration. So just even making a that's really good for calming ourselves down. So this is another subject where one could talk a lot about. There's many parts of it, but I hope that it's gave you a small insight, and if it is something that you're interested in learning more, there's lots of material available on the internet. But just know it's coming from the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, fight or flight, sympathetic or parasympathetic, rest and digest. So it's quite amazing, our body. So just know, if whatever you're going through, your body is trying so hard to keep you safe, and that you're doing the best that you can. Sometimes things don't work anymore and we need more support, and that's the beauty of life, because there's lots to learn. So I wish you well, and I hope that you have a peaceful day ahead. Until next time, goodbye.